Hi, I am Osman. I am an energy healer on a master level with telepathic capabilities, and I specialize in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, among, of course, a host of other psychological, physiological, and spiritual ailments. I am also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher. Um, Visit my website yogawellness786.com for more information on my services. Please remember that all my therapies are natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. Is celibacy required for advanced yoga and meditation practice? My experience and my perspective is that yes, celibacy is required. And if you are in a relationship or get into a relationship and engage in, intimacy, then what actually happens is your status that you achieve the higher levels will decrease to a lower level, and you will not transcend to the high levels that is associated, with celibacy. So I do come across, videos on YouTube where I see people who are, experiencing amazing Kundalini awakening and rising of the Kundalini and development and in its fullest form, right? And they report that they are in a relationship, they have a girlfriend, and so I don't know, how they are interacting with each other, whether he is following a temporary, celibacy period, because in my experience, um, celibacy is absolutely a requirement for the development of the full power of the spiritual energy in you, which is called the Kundalini energy, right? So yes, you can get the development of the lower levels of the energy, the pranic energy, to rise and fall up and down your spine. And it can be reasonably, powerful. And you can still maintain being a healer, while being, in a relationship, but you won't have um, the grand master level, right? The very high power of um, uh, the maximum level of the Kundalini energy, which is exponentially higher than just the pranic energy. So, is it possible that I am wrong? Yes, it's possible that I am wrong, but I'm in this field for close on to 50 years, and I know of a number of people, who raise their development to the higher levels after observing celibacy. Um, so let me think of two very close examples, two people that I knew very closely. And the one person, he reached grandmaster level. I mean, he was on the breathless state, anytime at will, and his Kundalini, he had full power of his Kundalini energy. And then during that time, he observed celibacy. And he told me it is very important. He himself very vehemently and with full seriousness said that if I want to, develop or awaken the Kundalini, yeah, I have to observe celibacy, right? So then he was quite a young man, when he was in the state of full power, and he got married, I think, at his age of around 23. And after that, he had a normal, marriage relationship and children. And he lost his, gradually, it decreased and decreased and lost his spiritual power that he had, the full power completely. And try as he may, he could not, awaken that power. And there was a second example, another gentleman. He was an elderly person in his mid 60s to 70s, and decided that now he's ready to take. He was always observing his spiritual practices, yoga practices, meditation, and his devotion and so forth throughout his life, and very dedicated, in serving the community and charitable works and so forth throughout his life. And then at that stage, he decided that he wants to develop the highest level. And he was a married man. He had, I think about five, 4 or 5 children, and they were all adults and independent. And he was financially independent at that stage. And then he told his wife that, he wants to observe celibacy. Does he have a permission? And she said, no, fine. He can do that because he wants to do it for religious purposes. And she accepted that and was fine. And then only after he took celibacy or started to observe celibacy did he go into Sabikalpi and Nirvikalpi Samadhi, right? And his Kundalini fully developed, right? So throughout his life, he was practicing. It did not rise completely, right? So there might have been some minor power or something, but not complete, right? That's the second example. Then, with regard to the pranayama practice, because this is very closely related to the development or awakening of the Kundalini, and it's a good scientific measure on if the Kundalini is fully awakened or not. Because sometimes you experience such immense power, which that energy comes from the base of your spine, but it's not the full development of the Kundalini. So one test is through pranayama, the alternative nostril breathing with retention called Annum Vinalum. And in that practice, when you reach a level where you can be in the breathless state. So whether you drawing your breath in or holding your breath or releasing your breath, exhaling, in any one of those three stages, suddenly the Kundalini can start rising. And when it does, your need for breathing stops and you are totally comfortable without breathing because you are being so fully energized by that energy. And that's a true test. And another way is, we always experience this massive energy, that's in our spine, is when we're doing the alternative nostril breathing. The normal method is to breathe in for like when you reach the level 4, you breathe in for a count of 16 on through your left nostril. You close your both nostril and hold for a count of 64, and you breathe out or exhale or through your right nostril for a count of 32, right? 16, 64, 32. And after breathing out, you breathe in for a count of 16, hold your breath, and breathe out again through your left nostril for a count of 32. So in the advanced, how you know your Kundalini is awakened, that you can now, instead of just breathing in, holding and breathing out and breathing in. So when you exhale completely, you again retain your breath for another count of 64. So this time you hold your breath, you retain your breath in the inhale as well as the exhale. So it will typically be 16, 64, 32, 64. Then again inhale 16 and hold for 64, then breathe out for 32. And after breathing of 32, you hold your breath for 64 very comfortably. No suffocation, no struggle. And if you want to count to 1,000, also you'd be able to count. There's no problem. That's how you know that now the energy is on the full development, because the Kundalini awakens in stages, and you do have lower levels of the Kundalini, which is reasonably very powerful, right? You can cure cancer. You can um, when we say the word cure, this doesn't mean there is no medical intervention. I'm an energy healer. I'm specializing in terminal illnesses and intensive care or trauma, critical care recovery. And people are usually in the intensive care unit in a coma, fighting for their life. And all medical interventions have been applied and are being applied, and the life is still ebbing away. So when I intervene, it is an additional complementary therapy that gives the necessary boost together with the medical treatment that helps to recover the person, right? So that must be clear. And even with the cancer therapies and the terminal illnesses therapy, all these clients are in full medical treatment, and they are still declining. The health is still declining, and there seems to be no hope, and the person is still the medication isn't sufficient to assist, and it needs an additional boost. So the energy healing is a complementary act that comes in, or a therapy that comes in and gives the necessary boost to assist them in addition to all the medical observances, right? So in the high level, of the energy, still maintaining a marriage relationship, right? A normal marriage relationship, um, um, very high energy levels are possible, but not the breathless state, and not the experience of the sabikalpi or nirvikalpi samadhi under normal circumstances. So when I experienced multiple samadhis across my life, most of the time I was married at the time, right? Um, I experienced about five samadhis, and that was during marriage and with normal married life intimacy, right? Actually, higher than normal, because when you're practicing hatha yoga and pranayama, especially hatha yoga, your energy levels are extremely high, and your testosterone levels are, higher than much higher than normal. So it's very good, for muscle building and strength training, and especially for sport, for sport peak performance, and also like for your brain, peak performance in business and in students as well, who's still observing a normal life, not being celibate, right? So that celibacy requirement is only if you want to maintain the higher, go to the transcend to the extremely high, ultimate levels and beyond, where you are able to at will and regularly go into samadhi. Whenever you sit in meditation, you can immediately on a daily basis go into samadhi. So this requires celibacy, right? And the other explanations and so forth, I respect, all other schools of thought that may differ with me. It could be, but this is my experience, and I've been involved in this, for a long time. And I was always doubting, whether this is in fact true or not, and tried very hard to go at will into samadhi, and I couldn't just do it, in a normal, a married life. So then comes the argument, further: do you want to live a life of celibacy? Is it necessary that you experience? So I think you can temporarily, observe it to get the experience, of samadhi and so forth. But I feel it's unnatural, to be a celibate. It's best to be in it's healthy and natural to be in a relationship, right? To be in a marriage relationship or a committed, monogamous relationship, because this is the natural order of things. But I mean, everyone's got the choice. This is just my opinion, and it doesn't mean you are losing out in something. to have that experience and to be able to come back down to normal life, because we're living in society, and if you are someone who is following the Judeo-Christian faiths, right? I don't know about the other faiths, but Judeo-Christian and Islamic faiths, um, there's no need for you to go any level of meditation in order to be admitted into heaven, right, or the kingdom of God. It's just your faith and your firm faith and practical, being a practicing Christian or a practicing Jew or a practicing Muslim, right? Observing all the requirements, the compulsory and the recommended requirements, and refraining from that which is forbidden, right? It's very simple. There's not like a big host of things. They're not asking you to, starve yourself and do intermittent fasting or go into a keto diet and, you must exercise so many times a day and you must meditate for so many hours and so forth. All that's not required, in those who observes those faiths. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to observe it or you obligated, to do it. Just I believe that even if you don't observe any faith, my belief, right? That if you are practicing what is good, because everyone, it's common cause, what is, don't go around killing people, right? Don't go around cheating people, don't do hurting people's feelings, be patient, and try to accommodate and try to help where you can, and take care of your environment and take care of yourself, more importantly, take care of yourself and take care of your family, or those around you, or your friends, or your relatives, those that are close to you. Have some heart, live with some heart. And sometimes you are dedicated to your career, or you're dedicated to some cause or to some activity, or you're just living your life, right? um, I believe these people also, because you're respecting natural laws, you are generally good, so I believe that there isn't. And some believe there's no such thing as heaven and hell, right? That when we die, that's the end. So who knows what is really true, what is hallucination, you know? So faith means that we don't know for sure, but we believe wholeheartedly in someone or some prophet, right? Or some person that was born and spoke, or someone that spoke some words and gave, left behind a lot of literature or a lot of information and knowledge, and following that person with full faith that he is in fact, true. And there are many, incidents and accounts, of people, coming back from the dead and recounting, what they've seen, and affirming, you know, the faith, and affirming the religious beliefs and so forth. So, is it unilateral across every person? So we don't know, because there's been scientific experiments done, especially by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and they generally did not she did not confirm anything, any religiosity or any concept of God, right, in her findings. Although certain things the religious people could interpret as an evidence, of God, but scientifically they have not, confirmed it. And in my opinion, that is also sometimes a good thing, because people have corrupted opinions, of the concept of God, right? And that God, or the, belief, in that is a subjective um, aspect, and we should respect all people's views, the scientists, the atheists, and uh, the agnostic, and the person who chooses to have faith as well, right? So current day, although by name there are many people who are born to certain denominations or certain sects and can be classified, under that, but in terms of practicing, people are not practicing. The majority is not practicing, or they have doubt. in the mind, and they don't have full faith. They're not willing to deny it, but they're not having the full faith in it. And the majority is more agnostic, I would say. And there's a growing number of atheistic people who believe that this is something brought about to control people, right? So myself personally, I am of a person of faith who believes strongly in faith, but I'm keeping an open mind and neutral to all and respecting all beliefs and this thing, because who knows really 100%. The only time you're going to know is when you die, right? When you die, and and maybe you are right and there's nothing, right? Everything is blank and you are just dead, right? And maybe there is a year after, then you will see, right, for yourself. That's the only way we will know, right, for sure. And hope that information helps you, and take care of yourself always.